Okay, great. So here we are. The stream is starting up and now we're live. Welcome everybody to HEXtherapy Live with our special guest, Funding Jim, aka Gary. How's it going?
Oh, it's going terrific. Who can complain life like this? It's amazing to be in the community and be, opportunity of the future. It's really what we're looking at today.
I'm super excited to have you as a guest. And, I really appreciate everything that you've done for me throughout my journey in Hex. I know whenever I learned about the Telegram chat and then I searched for my name throughout there, you were the first person who was posting my content and cross promoting and sharing. And so that means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, I like your professional experience, education, and speaking to a niche inside of the Hex community and the general community at large of the internet. I think it's a great voice that you have, and I hope your program continues.
Thank you. And I know one of the topics that I wanted to bring you on and discuss has to do with hex badges, and that's kind of part of my obsession with crypto has to do with being obsessed with being able to program mental health into money, and that's the thing that we explore in this show is behavior change. And one of the most effective ways to change behavior is to incentivize healthy behavior. And financial incentives are some of the strongest ones. And the area of contingency management has the strongest effect size of any psychological intervention when it comes to changing very difficult behaviors such as drug addiction or mental health issues such as depression. And so that's what we're exploring in the Hex ecosystem, because Hex already seems to have some mental health programmed into it. Is that something you've noticed?
Yeah, I think I think Hex specifically speaks to the carrot and the stick, like you just talked about. Like there's a penalty side and there's a reward side for effectively taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, your physical health, thinking of others instead of being so self-centered as our society seems to push us toward. So I like a lot of the narrative and the utility, I think, of Hex to reward others. Yeah, I think it's great.
And when in Hex, of course, when you lock up your coins, you're protecting yourself from buying tops and selling bottoms, like everybody seems to be doing right now with the stock market and just in general. And it allows you to put rewards out there into the future, so that because Hex locks your money as long as you want it to be locked up to 15 years, that gives you an incentive to take better care of yourself physically and mentally, and something to look forward to those rewards once they appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's a great statement. I've seen other things that are trying, maybe from a government standpoint down, or from a special interest up, as far as the reward and the penalty of like our foods, like you might have this vault that goes into your refrigerator, and you only know when it only has a time lock on it when you can get to the Oreo or to the cake or something like that. I've seen those kinds of devices as like trying to protect yourself from yourself, and then I've seen warning stickers on cigarettes that are a vice tax, effectively saying that because this is not good for your health, then proven through science that this might cause more lung cancers and things like that, as far as people have long-term histories of utilization of this product, then that supposedly that tax, that vice tax to smoke, is supposed to be paying for or offsetting the extra health cost that the greater society would bear. And so it should be only the people that long-term smoke that need the healthcare are basically paying for that healthcare in the future. So I can see like a carrot stick thing about Hex. Take care of yourself better. But if you ultimately want to break into that vault and do financial harm to yourself by early end staking or breaking your promise or your truth engine mechanism, at least you're paying other stakers. At least you can start over again. You can say, darn it, my New Year's resolution didn't work out in 2020. I'm going to hit it again in 2021. And next time I will see it through.
Yeah. You can get more than one chance in Hex because it is a perpetual contract in the sense that it was launched in 2019, and now it's a smart contract that will continue to operate under the same code. You were on a show the other day, a Hex show, Hex Trivia, and I got a lot of value out of that. You were asking some really interesting questions, and everybody, it seems like an opportunity for people, not only if they're new, but also people who have been around a long time. There were many different levels of understanding happening, and it inspired me to come up with like a little bit more knowledge when it comes to the Hex contract, because there were some questions about the Hex contract, and I actually looked up what line of the code it is that says 5555, and
nice.
So I'll just share it with you and our viewers now.
You should put a reward, because it might be a trivia question in the future, and the trivia question in the future might be, when was the trivia question first asked?
Yeah. It's a line 718, and so I remember there's a resolution 720, so -2. 718 is the line that specifies what the maximum amount of time you can lock your coins is, and that's of course how you cause your T shares and your compounded interest to be played the best. So
yeah. Well, again, even though I've been around this idea for close to 2 years, maybe a little bit around 2 years, because it launched in December of 19, but it was talked about and a community participated in the development of Hex for close to a year before that. And it's amazing how much forethought, anticipation, game theory, mapping out what will happen if this, what will happen if that, kind of stuff, all of the models that were done about this token, this ERC20. And it's amazing, like I said, thousands of lines of code, when you can have something else that is a ERC20, but it's arbitrary, the numbers. Why 555? Why not 444? Why is that? There's a reason. There's a reason for these things. Yeah. Why is it that the earliest person in the coin should get all or most of the reward because early is better? Well, that's not part of the code. The code doesn't say early is better. Longer is better, bigger is better, but early is not the best necessarily.
Exactly.
We talked with Kareem the other day, and I'm jealous of Kareem. And Kareem is only a few months or longer, maybe 6 or 7 months in the Hex ecosystem. I've been around 2 years, but my staking was trial and error, anticipation, expectation. And I didn't think the same weight that he did based on experience and hearing other people that are influencers. And his map is different than my map. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it's unique.
I stumbled upon in the Staker app somebody who was one level above me, like one rank within my classification, and this person was only staked on average for a year, and they had put twice as much money in to get the same amount of T-shares as I had.
Yeah. Yeah. And the transparency has that benefit to it. And again, I'll hear this narrative when I talk to people now, right? They'll say, yeah, I heard about that thing when you talked about it a year ago. And I'll tell them, here's where it's at now. Here's the position it's at now. They'll say, that's phenomenal, but I feel like I missed the boat. That's what they'll say. I'll say, well, how do you feel like you missed the boat when you actually look at the code? The code has, like you said, an ongoing process. It's, I think that people can make more hex, you know this already, by staking for longer or having a different weight of a ladder than people that started earlier and put more coins in, but for shorter term. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Meats on the bone, as Dev Kyle and by proxy Richard described it. And,
Yes.
that's one of the many parts of genius that have been put into this, is making those considerations. I know they did a lot of different simulations and played with the parameters to get it just right. And sure enough, right now the weighted average stake length is only 5 years, which is incredible. That's super long, but it's only a third of the maximum that it could be. And so that's fascinating to me.
Well, and again, so, if anybody is watching the channel or watches this in the future, you should do yourself a favor and watch, if not the full 24-hour stream, but the long stream that, or 8-hour stream. It was like 4 days on your conference. I think it's like 24 hours of content. But you should watch the commentary from Kyle Dev. That commentary was very useful. I think that the engineer side of things, the financial analyst side of a person's personality that wants to know data points and things like that they will get a lot out of that structure that Kyle highlighted. I think that was very, very useful. 20 minutes. Yeah, he did.
Absolutely. And so I think that, beyond just the money aspect of Hex, I think there's a culture forming of people who are thinking more long term, and that spills over into their health behaviors. And so we see a number of people who are taking my advice, like with omega-3, which is something that is used by the body in order to insulate the electrical wires in the prefrontal cortex, and then causes people to do better with problem solving, emotional regulation, and you name it, whatever it is, mental health wise. And many of the disorders are prefrontal cortex disorders, including addiction. And so so we see that, and so that's really the direction that we want to take the Hex badges. And I know that you and I both have experience with badge systems, that have worked in the real world. So I was thinking now might be a good time to discuss that.
Yeah, I think we have this common, experience in my youth, like your youth, of first example would be the Boy Scouts. I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid. I was part of Broken Home, Find a Foundation. There could have been something like Big Brother programs might have been out there, but the Boy Scouts seemed like it was more of a structure for me, and I was introduced to it. And like you just said, it has a badge system, has merit badges, doesn't have as many demerit, like you're in trouble kinds of signaling. It has more like you accomplished this thing, you completed this task, you learned this information, now you can repeat it. If you want to start a fire or, be able to survive in the wilderness, or pioneer or orienteering, all those things that I think of as skill sets and give me more confidence. That was really the foundation, was the Boy Scouts for me.
Yeah.
And
it's
for you, it's a similar experience, or what did you get out of it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I tried to collect as many merit badges as I could. And that's one of the determining factors that allowed you to move up in your rank, right? Through the different ranks up to Eagle Scout. And, so it was highly engaging, and using positive reinforcement to, like you said, learn skills and information that would be useful and would be beneficial to us, and help build our character. It created structure, right?
Yeah.
To the idea of camping, and, creating a community, practicing skills as kids with problem solving, with organizing yourself with other people, socializing. I mean, even if the Boy Scouts, maybe have gotten some bad press recently, like there has been, many, like decades of people's experiences that were very positive, to the point where, you know, you would say that you've been in the Boy Scouts, and that would help be a shortcut for somebody to recognize that you are someone who's been taught all these character skills, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's part of our human nature, is to repeat 10 times the challenge or the struggle or the stress or the negative side of something. That's why we call it the news. Almost all of the news is negativity. But what you don't hear on the news, what you hear on the news is people were crossing this bridge and the bridge fell down.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that because it's newsworthy. But what you don't hear about is the 100,000 or 1,000,000 people that crossed the bridge that had no problem, and their commute was shorter and it gave them utility. So it's something like that to me. I know the narratives. There's certain narratives about religious organizations, and you would say, I wouldn't send my kid there because there's this specter of bad or whatever. I think the Boy Scouts gets aligned or lumped in a similar way. I think that there's on net, my opinion, there's much more good than negative about the organization in general. Same thing with cars. You will hear about the car wreck, but you won't hear about the boring commute that 1,000,000 people did the same morning.
Sure.
So it's the utility. And I think the Boy Scouts have great utility. Similar with the military system. The military was in the military for 11 years. First 5 years, Special Forces, last 6 years in a hospital environment, in a military Navy hospital. And we have a sense of honor or validation from our medals and ribbons. This recognition by a peer, when they see a medal or ribbon, they have almost an instant bond, because they say, you're from that same unit and you did that same campaign, and I can relate, and I can be a little bit more open to you as a stranger because I don't know you, but I have this entry, this conversation point, or this similar experience probably based on your ribbon. So I think that the badging system has value. I think that it's useful. And if we get to the conversation part about the crypto element, I think that also has, I don't want to align it with monetary value. I want to align it with some truthfulness, some verification element. I like that part of the crypto and the badging.
And so far, so our test badges and the badges that we've created for Hex so far have been made with that in mind, that we don't want this to be, some sort of NFT that people are collecting because they're going to want to trade it later, right? Like that, we've failed our job of creating Hex badges if that's the result. And so whether we're on the platform of Rarible, which is going to have high gas fees, it's going to be $20 or $30 right now to even buy a badge. We've got the badges priced, at $20 to help recoup the cost of launching the contract, because it uses a bunch of gas, and that's probably not an ideal system, because we would rather be able to award people badges for a few pennies, or sell them to decrease the cost, but at least to have the minimum viable product and to have something going already. I mean, we successfully delivered like 40 badges to almost everybody who spoke at the Hex conference, and that was
that was a big investment on your part, and I really appreciate you putting that together. I saw that there's different levels of experience inside the Hex ecosystem, what participation people had, but obviously with the conference program, I thought that was really nice. I looked at the different versions of from back in December, if you were part as a AA or different things. I thought that was really interesting to experiment with that with a healthful, a health-oriented, psychologically validating and kind of purpose. I thought that was really useful.
And that's where we want to take it, definitely, to the point where it's getting more into programming mental health, and is verifying, right? So It's easy to verify who was speaking at the first Hex conference. That is something to be recognized with a badge of honor. And then we created 5 other badges at launch that are, basically highlighting the different moves that people could have made early in the system that will benefit their savings for the future. So the adoption amplifier, the Quattro Cinco 5555 badge, and the big payday, the Bitcoin free claim, and all those are there now. And so, but we want to expand this to incentivize other behaviors that people could be having, especially if it might involve, like, again, more health related things. Maybe maybe like an omega-3 badge, or a badge for exercising, or a badge for giving to other people in the community. I mean, I'm really open to exploring all the possibilities, because again, this is why I'm in crypto. People can say I'm in crypto for the tech, and be joking around, because they're really there for the profits. And sure, I love the fact that I invested in Hex early, and I've got a lot of rewards to look forward to because of that. But really, the biggest reward is helping others.
Yeah.
And that's why I still work as a therapist. Even though I have plenty of income from Hex, it's rewarding to help people. I think that's why Richard cares more about making Hex successful than he does about making an extra $1 million. Is because he really values the social validation, the social capital that he's built, and realizes that changing other people's lives, it's not something you can always buy with money, right?
Well, you think about it, the challenge of a reward, it's much easier to destroy things and be remembered as a terrible person than it is to build something or create something new in the world and have it, really reach adoption. So the greatest testament would be this to launch well and to do better for people's health long term. So I think it kind of aligns with what you're talking about. Yes, there's a financial incentive in general, but there's pirate capitalism, which is I'm going to do it before you do it. I'm going to get you before you get me. There's that kind of capitalism that is a little bit seedy. It's more about you have knowledge or your timing or network that gives you opportunity that others don't. I don't really like that side of that kind of capitalism. I do like the type of capitalism that's more about enabling a community, building up a community, bringing value to a network. It's a value for value exchange. You're basically delivering as much or more value than you're getting from that network of community. So I like that kind of environment. And I think that aligns very well with Richard's intentions and Hex's, finalized complete product that's out there now in the wild. It's very cool.
So another use case, I guess I could say, for Hex badges would be relating to something I have a lot of experience with, which is I worked as a researcher in a neuroscience laboratory studying people quitting tobacco. So tobacco cessation is there were a number of reasons why we were studying that even go beyond helping people quitting smoking, like understanding the human mind with brainwaves, attention, and emotion, like, are best studied when you can manipulate them. So when we gave people nicotine or we took it away, then that allowed us to study those people's emotions much more effectively, because it was the independent variable that we had so much control over, was paying people a bunch of money to not smoke that one day, and paying people $1,000 to quit smoking for 3 months. And it's incredible to me that with paper money, you can't program, you can't pay yourself to do something like quitting smoking, which many smokers would love to do. They would love to quit smoking, but they can't pay themselves $1,000 to quit, because that's not built into money yet. But so if we created a Hex badge that, you know, basically, even if you think of it, are you familiar with like Acorns? Is like an app you can use. It like
Percentage of
rounds
your
up every
spending goes and
purchase.
rounds up. Yeah, rounds
Yeah.
up and
And
invests
so
for you.
if you had a function like that already works in the real world, and you use that to kind of create a funding source for your own quit smoking fund, right? And then you had a smart contract that created basically a governance token that you could send to your doctor, and then, you know, just email it to them, and then your doctor, they would have to give you that badge, or they would have to give you that token back in order to unlock, you know, your $1,000 that you've accumulated as a reward for quitting smoking. I mean, that's something, you know, that could already happen today, more or less, where the verification gets kind of farmed out to somebody who that's already their job, but then the motivation part is something that's programmed into crypto or into Hex.
Yeah, the things that the person can affect of their own health, like you're not necessarily going to change your eye color. That's not going to be something you can will into being different, right? Certain things you might be able to change, like your daily caloric intake, or your daily, that might still have a willpower element to it and a reward carrot system, right? A lot of these things happen so gradually that you don't realize after a year that you've gained 20 pounds. It just accumulated over the course of a year. So yeah, I think that would be kind of useful. I know that there's a whole economic business that's fairly recent of, they call them wearables, but they're basically wearable sensors to determine your health status. So you have an Apple Watch now that keeps your EKG, and it keeps your Fitbit information, things like that about your activity levels. That's a wearable, and that wearable, I could see that having some economic element to it, some kind of reward system to it, like you're talking about, whether it's a blockchain or some other integration. As long as, you know, I think of blockchain, I like the immutable factor of it. I like the mathematic and the crypto element of it, as far as corrupting it or non-corruption. The challenge is the oracle. The challenge is who actually puts in the information, you know? So is it the physician? Is it the individual that says, I did run, 3 miles today, or I didn't? You know, is it your own diary keeping? So that kind of stuff is really challenging when it comes to a relationship to the real world. But yeah, I can see where you're going.
As I've thought about that for, a couple of years now, my conclusion is that you don't have to make it foolproof if the person is self-funding it. And so if the person is paying themselves to change their behavior, then you just have to make it hard, and like even making it impossible to fool might actually be a problem, because somebody could set an impossible goal, and then now their money is locked forever no matter what. But you just have to make it more work than what the goal would be. Or even, I mean, even if it's easier than that, it's actually okay, as long as it's driving motivation somehow. And so,
well, there's a psychological link. We talked about trophies, like maybe you practice for a couple of years to be a great bowler, and you hit 300 perfect score 5 times in a row because your skill set became so amazing that you trend to get that trophy, right? You're like, oh yeah, in this competition I win this thing. But the resale value of the trophy in the open market that has your engraving and your accomplishment and your sentiment attached to it is very small, right? So, you see all the time kids that are, seniors in high school, and they win some track and field event. They get a medal or ribbon. It goes on their own wall, recognized by their family, validated, accomplishment that gets commented about on reunions and such. But, years after that person, decades or 100 years after that person's passed, there really isn't like a market for it. There's not, it doesn't have that thing for a majority of people, unless they're celebrity. But outside of that,
with the league system, I mean, I think this is going to be really the thing that kicks crypto off, like the whole gamification of mental health. Like, I'm biased because like that's what I want it to be, but like even people, I mean, people are willing to like be the first one to comment on one of these videos that we're making, and like that's fun. That's already a game that people just spontaneously made. But if you
Yep.
can make it so, I mean, not necessarily that behavior, but something that's even more meaningful to the community. If that's like recorded and you're in the first 1,000 people to ever like, do the 5K for mental health badge or something, then
Yeah.
like, that could become something where people are FOMOing in, not financially, but like behaviorally.
Yeah, I mean, again, we go back 10,000 years ago and we live in a village and we have a group of maybe 100 or 200 people in our community. It's a micro community. We all lived in villages long ago, small villages. There was no such thing as a big city or a bigger collective. And so your validation, your status, your access to a partner and having kids, all those things like that, came from your skill set or whatever, right? So doing a marathon, being able to run and pass a message, or being a warrior or a hunter of some sort, or whatever, this had value inside your community. And that's what the early ribbons and badges and certain number of feathers in your cap, that's what that's from, right? Is your badge system, your recognition by others. So I could see that being something. I think we're searching right now as a Western society for what is true. What is true? What does true mean? We have deep fake. There's an app on my phone right now. I can look like Johnny Depp in a couple of minutes. Basically just an old image and a video clip of his, put my face on top of it, and now I'm Johnny Depp. There's a multi-billion-dollar business of university degree diplomas. There's just basically mills to put out, the fakery of someone accomplishing something. There's stolen valor, which is an idea of military experience through ribbons, and someone else that has never had that experience wearing that badge and taking whatever social value or sometimes financial value for wearing a badge. So I think people are searching for a truth. And as we go forward in the next 10 to 15 years, you won't be able to tell CGI from real film. You won't be able to, Brad Pitt being a 10-year-old, Elvis, having a conversation with Ariana Grande is a reality in 10 years. You won't be able to, you'll be so imperceptible that I think people will be searching for truth even more over the next couple of years.
And that really puts Hex in a good position because I think that it's the even at those small levels of media, but also in the greater society, the value of money is decreasing because of corruption and printing. And so people, I've done 2 episodes now that were just short episodes in the past couple of days about this whole GameStop phenomenon. Wall Street Bets was at 3.5 million people on Reddit, and it's like Occupy Wall Street like 3.0 or something.
It added a couple million like in the past few days or whatever because of the GameStop and AMC and all that stuff. This morning, Chimouth was talking about it. People are live streaming. I think this morning I saw 2 or 3 channels that had 10 to 12,000 people, 20,000 on one live watchers, viewers of content. So it's interesting. The narrative is that, Wall Street will make the money and the Main Street will hold the bags. That's always been the narrative, as long as there's been a way to manipulate and financially put weight on one side of a bet. And so this thing you commented about, and you made your $3 video about the $3 buy and stuff like that. Most people don't understand that stuff. I don't understand that honestly enough to comment too much about it, other than saying, in a free market, that should happen. In a free market, you should be able to coalesce information, gather network, make that change, because hedge funds do that all the time. That's what bread and butter is all the time. They have dinner meetings, and the top leaders of hedge funds will say, which stock are we going to short, and basically just create money out of nothing.
Yeah. And it blew me away today when I logged in to check my $3 investment. Of course, I didn't invest more than that because because I know what's what, and I know that Hex is the only place I would be putting my money that I'm investing.
Made money off of it. It's the reverse of the short.
Robinhood took away the buy button.
Yep, I saw that this morning where they were blocking people from doing trade in the I want to save you from yourself mentality, right? Oh, we're Robinhood. We don't want you to, to hurt yourself somehow, right? But isn't that the manipulation? It's so hypocritical. Yeah. It's so crazy hypocritical,
And so this again, like with the aspects of untruths and corruption being exposed, might bring people to the markets that we're in with crypto, because people will be, as you're saying perfectly, people will be searching for truth, and they'll be able to find it in places like Hex.
Yeah, I think that if anybody has a creator, an interest in creating a new channel, creating new content, and they want to put hashtag Wall Street Bets in there, I think it gets new eyes in general. There's, to have Reddit grow on that particular channel, 2 million or something users within, a week is ridiculous. That's a ridiculously fast, whatever, right? And sure, they're adding weight to that side of the trade that's already a winning trade. So, do we say for people to get, is it financial advice? No, it's not financial advice. This is what's happening. You can pay attention, you can participate, you cannot. You can say you're going to miss out. You can say that, it's fear, uncertainty, a doubt, whatever you want to call it. It is what human beings are doing. And and there's a lot about whether that's good or bad for someone's financial health. What I do like is when it comes to Hex specifically, there's a contract. Contract says longer is better, bigger is better. Here's the numbers. Here's the ratio. You put in this amount of Hex, you get out that amount of Hex based on time. It takes a lot of the stress out of my financial picture on that asset class. I don't have to think that much about it. Like today, I have real estate, and I have a 6-unit building that someone was saying that, it's bad rain where they're at, and there's leak in the window. And so now I've got to deal with an asset class of real estate. And there's maintenance, and there's ongoing cost, and there's unexpected things that need to be repaired that, when I bought and manage it, you may not anticipate, but it happens. Things happen. So that's one thing. Physical gold, physical silver. That's a speculative play on its perception of value to others in the future. All right. It's buy low, sell high. If you're going to try and even call it a profit or a loss motivation. It's an insurance policy for a lot of people. They just look at it as non-correlated to dollars. But again, it's still speculation. You're speculating that human beings in the future will care more about something than you care about now. So I like the math side of things. I like the vaulting of crypto as far as Hex being locked in contract. The vaulting cost is ridiculously low. The security element is ridiculously high as far as its ability to secure that value. I like a lot about what Hex presents, and when it becomes more viral, more known, more commented on, we'll see the same kind of weight, economic weight added to it, like the Wall Street Bets people betting on AMC movie theaters coming back. I don't think that's going to happen, but there'll be economic weight because other people believe it will.
I really think that this group like they might figure out like what happens on Uniswap, like how you can calculate how much
Yeah.
something goes up if everybody in that Reddit group put in like $2 or $3 into Hex, they would 100x the price. Like, you know, mathematically, it's not like if this or that. And, you know, I guess that would be if it all happened in the same instant and people weren't selling into it. But the truth is that like lots of Hex is locked up more than anybody really knows. And so they would run into a wall that is just going exponentially up. And that seems like a better way to stick it to the man than anything else would be to actually exit the global financial system. And you know, my new term for that is HEXit.
Yeah, HEXit. Well, and again, the Robinhood is an example. You just basically close that door or that path to their finances, to their opportunity or whatever their trading option to take away the buy button you said. Government can do the same thing. What is the value of a currency ledger entry of $1? All these things are moving around in your investing mind. But the last thing I wanted to say, I do need to break out pretty soon, but the last thing I did want to say is it's in our human nature to be quote unquote hunter gatherers. Like we have been around hundreds of thousands of years, and the earliest people that are commented about as far as a society, they were hunter gatherers. That's what you're doing. You're gathering value. You're gathering it. You're storing it for later. It has a reward mechanism to it as far as multiplying itself or compounding itself. So yeah, I like the narrative. I like the things that you're doing, obviously, with the health element of it, the psychological health of it. I like the motivation of the community to be more altruistic inside of the Hex community than maybe outside of the Hex community. Yeah, there's cooperation. Even in the right now, there's all of the news that's talking about Wall Street bets and the Reddit people. That's cooperative.
Yes.
But that's not altruism. That's cooperative, yes. Right? So it's a completely different animal. And I think that altruism, at least, has been shown through broadcasters like yourself, other people that are participating and getting information out there that don't have a direct economic reward for doing so. I think altruism is represented inside of Hex very, very well.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for being on the stream. I know you're going to go on and do your next stream now. Is that right?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a prep, and then at 9:30 Eastern time tonight, it's with John Wick. John Wick is a financial planner. He does have a pseudonym of John Wick, but we'll be having that conversation 10:30 AST, 9:30 EST, 6:30 PST. And if people look at fundingjim.com/social, all of the social links are there. All of the information about what upcoming program or who I'm interviewing comes up.
Well, I want to urge our audience to check that out with me. I'm going to be the first one commenting over there.
Great. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for inviting me onto your show, Maddie. And I look forward to more of it.
Great. I'm going to check in with people in the comments here and then shut her down. So
great. So I'm going to exit out. But thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate it. And see you around.
Take care. Ciao. Great. Well, we've just had a great talk with Funding Jim, Gary, and he is, like myself, an Eagle Scout, or he's a Boy Scout, and somebody who has learned the value of character, and his experience in the military and in business and in Hex have all helped him to be successful. And so I'm very thankful that he was able to weigh in on some of the ideas that we have for Hex badges. And I wanted to let people know how you can go ahead and stay tuned for what's coming in Hex badges, because there are going to be some really exciting things that I'm very close to releasing but I wasn't able to hit the release button yet because of the expense of gas fees and some other things. So if you want to be one of the first people to find out what's going on in Hex Badges, we have our website, HEXtherapy.live, or you can go to, well, it's Hex Badge or Hex Badges. It all goes to the same place. Go to t.me/Hex Badge is where we are having a channel, and you're not going to get spammed with a bunch of messages. It's not going to make your notifications go off. We've only had 2 messages ever go out on that channel, and we'll be limiting. It'll just be, 1 message every so often when something big happens, and that way you'll be able to keep the notifications on there and find out what's going on with the next badge that we're releasing, and maybe how you could win a giveaway for stuff. I mean, we've even been putting that on Twitter so we don't spam your Telegram, because I don't like my Telegram getting spammed either. So make sure to check that out. If you know anybody who's not in Hex who wants to buy in using the new sticker system, check out the QR code here. That helps my channel, and people can buy into Hex and stake using this referral link that's also available in the QR code, but also at $hex.com is my referral system. And then I wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat. Benny Blanco, hey, how's it going? Nate J, the trend is your friend till the end, or in Hex, just up and to the right. Hexit, the financial system, says Infinity Hustler Infinity, aka 8 Hustler 8, and Dangerously Stupid says we're in the Doge days of winter. That's a very clever comment. Let's see. Dan, they need to cover their own shorts. Yeah, and it is a liquidity crisis, it turns out, with the whole GameStop phenomenon. And I really hope that my $3 buy kind of like signaled to the community. I don't have I'm not so silly to be squandering any investment funds I have, in a rigged stock market compared to like being in crypto and in Hex. But it's clear I was trying to pull in people who maybe are, looking for that keyword, or to just let the algorithms know what's coming in the future, because all those Wall Street bet guys, they're going to end up in crypto. They're going to end up in Hex in the end. And Crypto 303s predicting 2 cents before the end of 2021. Let's see. Randy Hilarski, good to see you. People are saying El Sizzle, God bless T-shares. Indeed. Chris Carey asks, when will Hex go bullish? Well, the interest that we're gaining right now is pretty bullish, I'd say, for 40% a year, and even more if you're a more long-term thinker and staker. And then, there's the price appreciation, which, you don't have to have been in Hex very long to have enjoyed a very, very high price appreciation. There's tax benefits to holding something for a year. I mean, then you're going to pay a lower tax rate. So, I mean, if you're wanting to invest shorter than that, I mean, that's great. There's going to be all types who buy in Hex. Obviously we're often marketing to the degenerate crowd of gamblers who will be converted into savers for their future. So, okay, I hunted you down to give you a badge. Awesome, thank you. And I'm hoping that people will realize the giveaways that we're doing on this channel, on Twitter, on my accounts. That they're real because there's people saying, oh, hey, I won, or we've been gifting out whole T-shares. If people are willing to lock up for 15.2 years, then we've been selecting randomly winners to be able to get like the 5,580 hex that it takes to be able to do get 1 trillion shares of hex. We got Nardo, David Morales, lots of people. Hex Nasco, what's going on? A lot of people here who have caught the earlier program, and I'm not going to drag this one out for too long because I know that there's lots of excellent hex content coming to you. Thank you, Benny. Cheers, Randy. Sam, money is a question of consensus ultimately. Well put. Very well put. Hex is simple. Get in, wait your turn, get out for simple profit. Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you all for tuning in, and make sure to go ahead and join right now. Go to t.me/hexbadge and join the channel. That's where you're going to get the up-to-date news on hex badges and how you'll be able to show your support. You know, even if you don't want to buy a badge, we'll find a way to do more giveaways. Maybe the next one should be only people who are in that channel. But again, not spamming the channel with a bunch of messages that aren't the major announcements. And so go ahead and follow me on Twitter as well. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. I'm getting close to being able to do super chats, which makes the show go in the algorithm to more places and more people. Let's see. You can find all my content at allmylinks.com/allin. And I've got it all laid out. I just did a refresh there after the first Hex conference. Gary mentioned earlier how much he liked the meat on the bone, making sure there's always meat on the bone in Hex speech by Dev Kyle. And that's highlighted on my YouTube page. For those of you returning, that should be the thing that pops up and starts playing for about 20 minutes. And I'll leave that on there for probably another week or two before we put up some other content for people to be able to see. But I really appreciate everybody checking that out because that's one that I like to rewatch over and over again. And before we, while I'm trying to find somebody to raid and, you know, say my final goodbyes in my outro, let me go ahead and I'm going to turn on a Hex song here so everybody can rock out before we shut it down. So let's see here. Here we go.
Arguing with people on Twitter, they're stupider than me, poorer than me, and less successful, and less open, and I guess they're more modest, so they've got that going for them. And it just, after a while, it just beats. That's how time across.
Woo! Hey, I know y'all ready. Let's go. Hey, okay, the Hex big payday. Time to let you know it. Right now is the moment. Talking about the Hex token for November 19th. Get ready, because it's very necessary. The moment will be legendary, marking the 50-week launch phase. 353 days after the Hex contract started, December 2019. I know it's a lot of info. I just want to let you know, Hex token is on the way. Revolutionary crypto, let's go. Hey, yelling out, hey, hey, here come the big payday. On the real, no joking. Need that Hex token. Got me yelling out, hey, hey, here come the
Yes,
big payday.
Hex is designed to go higher than $4.
That Hex token, what you know about that?
Chris
I
Carey.
just gotta confess.
The Hex is designed to do 10,000x in 2.5 years,
I just gotta confess, I'm trying to stack
which actually isn't that much for a crypto that's well designed.
It's an ERC20 token. Hey, crypto at its finest, time to get it. This is the moment. Hey, a fixed deposit account that pays holders for rewards. Receive interest as it matures. This is the next thing for sure. Telling you don't delay. Telling you in a major way. Time to reap the benefits. Better get ready for Hex big payday. I'm telling you, don't delay. Telling you in a major way. Time to reap the benefits. Better get ready for Hex big payday. Woo, let's go. Got me yelling out, hey, hey. Here coming big payday. On the real, no joking. Need that Hex token. Got me yelling out, hey, hey. Here coming big payday. On the real, no joking. Need that Hex token. What you know about that? I just gotta confess. I'm trying to stack up that Hex. Hey, hey, hey. What you know about that? I just gotta confess. I'm trying to stack up that Hex. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go. So let me tell you about the giveaway. Trust when I say you don't wanna miss it. Gotta join in if you wanna win it. Feels like you just might win the golden ticket. But honestly, there really ain't a loser. Trying to welcome you into the future. So what's next? We got everybody talking about Hex. Hey, really ain't no limit. You don't wanna miss it. Time to get it. Big payday is coming. So exciting and it's so official. Really ain't no limit. You don't wanna miss it. Time to get it. Big payday is coming. So exciting and it's so official. Got me yelling out, hey, hey. Here come the big payday. On the real, no joking. Need that Hex token. Got me yelling out, hey, hey. Here come the big payday. On the real, no joking. Need that Hex token. What you know about that? I just gotta confess. I'm trying to stack up that Hex. Hey, hey, hey. What you know about that? I just gotta confess. I'm trying to stack up that Hex. Hey, hey, hey. Woo, let's go.
All right, we're live. David Gerard, famous anti-blockchain front page. Isn't there like special rates? That's good moderation. Equation hidden at the bottom. It says offline only. There's no giant monopoly. Let me tell you where blockchain sucks. So if you don't need resist.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining. And, you know, I'm just going to do my outro now. It's pretty simple. Before we go raid Joe Hexotic, you can find him on Twitch, twitch.tv/Joe Hexotic369. And so shout out to him. He's got Barely Crafty there, who's also an amazing Hexagon. So get excited. Just like Rich Hex says. And so go ahead and support Joe and Barely by going there and checking them out. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends. Peace out.